Hello everyone, welcome to your easy guide to English section, and today we are going to start with the new topic idioms and phrases. So this lecture is going to be full of stories so we can remember so many idioms. So let's dive into it and see how it goes. The first idiom is to be at wit's end. Sohan was at his wit's end when he couldn't unlock his phone for the 10th time. Now, wit is intelligence. Somebody who's witty is quite clever in his thinking and he's sort of intelligent. And in the today's context, it is often used for people who are very good with comebacks. So, to be at one's wit's end would means to be at the end of your intelligent thinking in a way. So, in that sense, if you're end of your intelligence, that means you're confused. And if you're confused, you can't like think of anything further. So it would mean being hopeless and perplexed. So Sohan was at his wit's end when he couldn't unlock his phone for the 10th time. That means this person is like really confused and like he cannot think of anything further. So to be at one's wit's end means to be confused or worried that one does not know what to do next. You are at the end of your intelligence, something like that. Okay. So the correct answer is option B, being hopeless and perplexed. He is determined to pass the IAS examination by hook or by crook. So, what does the idiom by hook or by crook means? So, it means by any means, fair or foul. Now, this idiom has a very interesting origin. So, in old times, for peasants and all, there used to be a rule that you can those peasants who are collecting firewood or wood for whatever purpose, they were allowed to take the wood only one that they could reach by the stick that they were using. That used to be called crook. So crook is that stick that you can think of like that old people use. If you think of a very old Dadaji kind of personality and they hold this stick like J in shape stick, that's the crook. So you could use that stick to bring a higher branch down and maybe get that wood. So that used to be the rule that you can get things only by the hook or by crook. I mean the branches that you can get by hook or by crook. You are not allowed to cut the whole tree. So this is how this idiom evolved, that to reach some point by any means, fair or foul. So to in this statement, option C, by any means, fair or foul, to do something by hook or by crook, in whatever way you can reach that branch, by hands or by crook, only that you can get. So that's the origin story, and this is how you can remember, by any means, fair or foul. Now in group discussions, one should avoid beating about the bush. What does the idiom beating about the bush means? It means talking in a roundabout manner or an indirect way. So you're not getting to directly to the point. You're just beating about the bush. You're just talking in roundabout manners, not getting to the crux of the matter. This is also very interesting. It comes from the from olden times when people used to go out for hunting games. They used to have this their own set of helping staff. So what helping staff would do, they would disturb the bushes and then the birds would be flying, and then these sahabs or the people who are out for hunting games, they would shoot the birds. So the main game was hunting. So the people who are shooting the birds, they are the main people, while the people who are just beating the bush for the birds to fly are just the like people in the side. So they are just doing the side work, not the main thing. So that's how this system of beating about the bush, this idiom of beating about the bush came about, that you're not getting to the main point, you're just doing the side things, just going in roundabout manner and not getting to the main point. So main point is done by the hunters, they are doing the main thing. So beating about the bush, not getting to the main point, just talking in roundabout manner, in indirect way. Okay. Now, after years of rivalry, the two companies finally decided to bury the hatchet. What does bury the hatchet mean? So, hatchet is a weapon. It's like how do I explain? Axe kind of looking weapon. So that's hatchet. So burying the hatchet means you're burying your weapons. And in fact, it used to be traditions in some of the old tribes that if they are making peace, they would literally go and bury their weapons just as a sign of like committing to no more violence, something like that. So if bury the hatchet would mean make peace. So if somebody like if you say that the two companies after years of rivalry they buried the hatchet, that means they've made peace. They've like sort of buried their weapons in the I don't know, ground, and now they're like at peace. So bury the hatchet. Hatchet is a weapon. So if you're burying it, of course, you're making peace. No one was speaking in the meeting, so he decided to break the ice. What does break the ice mean? So it means to speak first in a conversation. So suppose, I mean, it's very commonsensical that if, for example, a ship is going and there's like, imagine the Titanic ship. So there is so many ice on the way that the ship cannot move. Similarly, if there are, so that sort of reflects that if there is no activity, the ice has, there is so much ice frozen in that path. So somebody who has to make the first move that will break the ice. So the same thing has been taken to conversation. So if there has been be any conversation, there is an awkward silence of sort. So somebody who is, and that silence can be metaphorically thought of as ice, a big sheet of ice, no movement, no activity. So somebody who's making the first move is sort of breaking the ice. So eventually, if everybody talks in, then there'll be no ice. So a lot of activity. So break the ice to be the first one to start a conversation. So no one was speaking in the meeting, so he decided to break the ice. So this person decided to take lead and be the first one to talk. So that is break the ice. As soon as he received his salary, it burnt a hole in his pocket. What does the CDM suggest? Oh, I mean, you don't. I don't even need to explain my. It's my life. It burns a hole. So that if your pocket is burned, you will not have. I mean, the money will not stay in the pocket. So of course, burning a hole in the pocket would mean like spending money very quickly and often wastefully also. So to burn a hole in the pocket, suppose you bought like an expensive skincare product and it's very expensive, so that thing can burn a hole in your pocket if you're as poor as I am. So that would mean that a big chunk of money has gone and you're like, you don't have, you've spent a lot of money on that product. So that's burning a hole in the pocket, because the money cannot stay in the pocket anymore because you have a hole in it. So spending a lot of money quickly, basically spending a lot of money quickly, burning a hole in the pocket. The news of his sudden resignation came as a bolt from the blue. Now, a bolt is, the thunder in the like clouds. That's a bolt. So bolt is something. It's sudden. You cannot be looking at the sky and you cannot predict now there'll be a bolt. Now there'll be a bolt. Something like that. I mean, if the weather is not good, there can be, but it's a like every time there is thunder, you're like almost surprised. So that's bolt from the blue, a sudden and unexpected event. So it's coming out of nowhere. So a bolt from the blue. So from bolt you can remember thunders and bolt, and it's obviously every time it comes you be surprised. So it's sudden and unexpected event. So the news of his resignation, the it was not expected that this person will resign, so it came as a bolt from the blue. The corrupt official was finally brought to book. So book here signifies law. You know, for example, when somebody is in the courtroom, they are given this book to swear on the book and say that they are going to be true. So sort of this, a book represents the values or the moral. So here the book represents the law book. So brought to the book would mean that somebody who's brought to law, to the legal system, and they are being held accountable for whatever actions they took. So it means punish or hold someone accountable. So bring to book means to take legal or disciplinary action against someone. So here option D, punish or hold accountable. D. The senior leader tried to browbeat the junior members into supporting his plan. So browbeat would mean, suppose, I mean, I don't know, when I was a kid, I remember if I was doing something wrong and say we are in a like public sphere, not inside the house. So my mom would be like, give me look like this, and by the movement of her brows, I would just sense something is wrong. So I would just stop doing that. So bro beating means like by the movement of your eyebrows, you're giving somebody some signal. So it's mostly the superior ones, the elder ones, they're trying to gesture that this is wrong, and listen to me, you're going on the wrong side, change your path, something like that. So to browbeat means to threaten or bully. Okay, so it means to intimidate someone, if not like completely bully, but just to intimidate someone. So the senior tried to browbeat the junior members into supporting his plan. That means they're trying to intimidate the juniors to support their plan. So browbeat, you can, it's very clear, like, just using the by the movement of your eyebrows, don't do this. I mean, I don't even need to say, you just get the sense that, okay, I am not liking it, and if I'm a senior, of course that means that you need to change your course. So browbeat, to intimidate someone into doing something, often using forceful behavior. He invested in a shady company and ended up burying his finger. So again, it's quite clear. Burying finger means you're injuring yourself. That means you're getting into trouble or suffering. So he invested in a shady company. That means this person didn't, like, it's not a very strong and a profit oriented company. So now this person is suffering. So that means he burned his finger. He's injured because of that act. So burning his finger is injury. So that means getting into trouble or suffering. So uh, suffer because of the consequences, usually due to meddling or poor decisions. So suffer, burning fingers. The child crossed the road safely by the skin of his teeth. Now, what does this idiom suggest? That means with great difficulty or narrowly. Or someone says he passed the exam by the skin of his teeth. That means he's like barely by zero point 0.5 or 1 marks that this person passed the exam. So by a very narrow margin. So see, the teeth doesn't have a skin. So that means something so thin it's almost non-existent. So it's like that. It's almost nothing. By almost, like, the margin is so narrow that it's almost nothing. So with great difficulty or margin. So he passed the exam by the skin of his teeth. Like, it's barely anything. I mean, he would have just been on the other side and failed. So that's by the skin of his teeth. Very, very low margin with great difficulty or narrowly. The Kashmir issue has been a bone of contention between India and Pakistan for decades. Now, what does the bone of contention means? It's also a very fairly common idiom, so you might know, a cause of quarrel or dispute. A bone of contention is something that causes arguments and disagreement. So, bone of contention means that both India and Pakistan have been at loggerheads, or they are like on the arguing, or they have an argument over this issue. That's Kashmir issue. That's a bone of contention, cause of quarrel or dispute. To be at loggerheads would mean just to be on the opposite arguing side. So it's that. If you keep studying by fits and starts, you'll never clear the exam. So by fits and starts means something that is irregular and inconsistent. So you might have heard like fits of emotions, like, sudden burst of some emotion, fits of illness, or fit. And when someone cries, they're fits. In Hindi we call it siskia, like they're doing. So fits like sudden bursts of thing, and starts is like so many starts. So by fits and starts means irregularly and inconsistently, by fits and starts. So the project move ahead by fits and starts due to frequent delays, that it starts stop, sort of irregular and inconsistent. So by fits and starts, irregular and inconsistent. He is unreliable because he always blows hot and cold on important matters. So, blowing hot and cold would mean changing opinion frequently. So, he keeps blowing hot and cold about the job offer. One day he's excited and the next day he's unsure. That means this person is just like he keeps changing his opinion. The origin of this idiom is also very interesting. So, you might have heard of something called Aesop's fable. So, think of it like Panchatantra stories. We had like many more stories for kids. So, there's this story. In this, there's a character who blows his hand to, keep it warm, and then blows his soup to keep it cool. So, the person who is looking at this character, he's like, you are not a good person, and you're like doing, like, using the same thing to warm and to cool something. That means you're a two-faced person and something like that. That's how the story goes. So that means that sort of you're changing frequently this same breath of your breath is used to cool something and to warm something. So it's like change, it's representing the change of opinion frequently. So to blow hot and cold about the job offer here means that someday he's excited, someday he's unsure. So it's a frequently changing opinion, to be very how do I say, very indecisive. Okay. He prepared well and came off with flying colors in the exam. What does came off with flying colors mean? It means to succeed brilliantly. So the phrase is used refers to coming out of a situation with great success. So again, it comes from that from the navy. Whenever some ship would win a war, they when they were reaching their coast, they would lift up their flag. So flag here is like colors. So they would take lift up their flags, and that would show that they are coming back and they have won. And that flying flag would show that they have won. So coming off with flying colors, succeeding brilliantly. There's no use crying over a spilled milk. You must focus on what's ahead. That means don't regret about what has already happened. That like the milk is split, or it's gone. It's gone bad. Now there is no use crying about it. Now go buy new milk, or like maybe don't drink the tea today, or make paneer out of it. But just don't cry over it. Something like that. So don't regret what has already been done. There's no use crying over spilled milk. You must focus on what's ahead. So don't regret what has happened. Okay. She's bold enough to call a spade, even if it offends other. So that means to speak plainly and truthfully. So I like her because she calls a spade a spade. That no drama, just truth. So something like you calling a spade, you're just pointing it out, not beating about the bush, not just talking here and there. You're just calling. You're getting to the point straight. It's exactly opposite of beating about the bush. To call a spade a spade, it's like speaking plainly, truthfully, and like courageously also. Like even if you're talking to some senior, you're not browbeated by them. So you call a spade a spade. The secretary had to cool his heels for over an hour before the minister arrived. What does cool his heels mean? To wait for a long time. So it comes from a sense that if somebody is moving around or running, walking, there's because of the activity some heat is generated in the like feet in the heels. So if you're not moving, you're waiting, you're like at one point it will cool down. So it's like to wait for a long time. There is no movement, you're just waiting, sort of that. So cool his heels means no movement happening. You're waiting. You're like not moving, no activity. Something like that. So to cool one's heels mean being made to wait, often disrespectfully or unnecessarily. So the secretary had to cool his heels for over an hour. So because the minister was like just making the secretary wait. Huh? Cool his heels to wait for a long time. Take your raincoat, it might come in handy later. So, what does come in handy mean? So, be useful when needed. This phrase is used when something that might be helpful in a particular situation. Something handy, you can think something that fits in your hand is handy. So it's convenient. If it fits, like for example, phones, you think if you can just hold it like this, that means it fits in your hand. It's handy. It's convenient. So it might come in handy would mean that can be useful later. So take your raincoat, it might come in handy later means it can be useful and convenient when needed. Okay. While solving the puzzle, it suddenly crossed my mind that I had seen it before. So what does crossed my mind means? That means it occurred as a thought, like a passing thought. So cross one's mind refers to sudden thought or idea. So you can think of your mind, yourself as a spectator in a road, and like passengers are passing by. Each passenger is one thought. So crossed my mind. So some idea all of a sudden occurred. It's not a lingering thought. It's not like I've been thinking about pizza since morning, and in the evening I finally order it. Something like you're just sitting, you're just like maybe looking at the lecture, and all of a sudden a picture of pastry comes in your mind. So that's like, or it comes to your mind that, oh my God, if I am here for half an hour, what are my friends doing? They said they'll be here in the evening. Something like that. That you're in the middle of something and some thought occurs to you suddenly. So that's crossing the thought. Sorry, crossing my mind. It's almost like it's just crossed. Was not there before. It's just origin and just, I mean, it just started and it just crossed your mind. Okay. Cross one's mind refers to a sudden thought or idea. A good citizen always cuts his coat according to his clothes. So what does cutting cloth according to cloth means? So it means to live within his or her means. I mean, again, if you look into it, the meaning is quite clear from the phrase itself that if you have less clothes, you make a smaller and a more simple coat. If you have more clothes, you can make a like more lavish and stylish coat with frills and I don't know what not. So that means you live within your means. In Hindi, like we say that jitne chadar utne pair phailao. So as long as you but like whatever be the length of the sheet you have, only that you should only spread your legs to that extent. So to cut his coat according to his cloth, you live within your means. Small coat, small cloth, small coat. Long cloth, long coat. Like that. Okay. So being realistic and spending according to one's income or resources. So if you have less income, go travel to Goa. If you have more income, maybe go to Hawaii. Like that. What does the idiom say? Die in harness. So it means dying while working. So harness is if you've done rock climbing or any adventure sport like that. So they tie a harness around your body, and it is tied to ropes or other things for the safety. And in the old days, a harness was tied to the horse to to attach them to the cart or like that. So a harness, actually, it's for the like this harness around in the adventure sports is a very new thing. This idiom, in the context of this idiom, the harness around the horse is more relevant. So to die in the harness would mean when a harness is tied around the horse, means that the horse is still working. He's still running with the cart. So to die while working, that means while the harness is still on the body, that horse has died. So that means that the horse died while still working in the like in its active phase. So to die in harness would mean die while working. So now that or not only horse are working, people are also working. So almost like a horse. So this phrase has come to use even for people now. To die in harness, that means while they're working, they die in a like say before retirement in an active working stage. Like I would want to die in harness and not rot after retirement, something like that. What does it mean by draconian law? So it means a fair and just law, a magical rule, an extremely severe law, and a temporary rule. So if you do not know the meaning of draconian law, God, you as an aspiring lawyer, you must know. It means an extremely severe law. So for example, when Rowlatt Act was brought to India by Britishers, it was called a draconian law because it was like extremely severe. And the draconian word comes from an I don't know ancient a person from in ancient Greek. His name was Draco, not like the Malfoy from Harry Potter. Draco, and he was known for making a very rigid and very extreme law. So that's where this draconian word comes from Draco, the lawmaker in the ancient Greece, who made very severe law. So draconian law. You can also remember it like Dracula. If Dracula made the law, he'll be like, "Bring me one human, I'll suck his or her blood," something like that. So draconian law, extremely severe law. What does dog in the manger refers to? So it refers to a selfish person who prevents others from using something he doesn't need. So a dog in the manger. A manger is if you can think of a place where the cattle are reared, so the that thing where the hay is kept for the cattle to eat, so that thing is called a manger. So suppose a dog is sitting on that manger and has a lot of hay around it, and the dog doesn't eat hay, but the dog is also not letting the cows to eat hay. So that situation would be a dog in the manger. The dog in the manger is not even eating hay and yet not letting other cattle to consume it, because even if the dog doesn't need it, it wouldn't let cows to consume it. So a selfish person who prevents others from using something that he or she also doesn't need. So this idiom is described when someone is spitefully withholds something from others even if they don't need it themselves. So a dog in the manger. The idiom draw the long bow. So a draw the long bow would means to exaggerate. So a bow is like Dhanush, if you have seen Ramayana or any mythological shows for that matter. So in the archery, the bow is used. So the longer the bow, like greater the strength is required to stretch it. So to draw the long bow means with a lot of strength, with a lot of power. So it sort of means exaggeration with like to a very great extent, sort of that. So to draw a long bow means to exaggerate or make something seem like too much, too say extreme. So to draw the long bow, to exaggerate. Okay. What does down and out means? I think it's quite simple. Like it's almost like in boxing. If someone has knocked you down and you cannot get up, so you're down and out. You're poor and ruined or in a very hopeless sort of situation. So it describes someone who is financially broke and socially and emotionally devastated. So like you're like everything wrong that can happen has happened. You're late on your rent, you don't have any friends anymore, you have no love in your life, no job, nothing, down and out, like like that. Okay, it's almost like in life has knocked you down and you cannot get up, so down and out. What does the idiom eat the humble pie means? So it means to apologize. So again, this idiom also has a very interesting origin. So in the old days in England, I suppose, yeah, in England, there was this dish called umble pie, umble, umble, umble pie. So it was made of the remains of the animal meat, and it was for the servants or the lowly class people to eat. So the people who were eating that, they were like considered to be the lowly class people. So to eat the humble, and it eventually the word the humble became humble, I mean, across the periods. So to eat the humble pie is to, swallow your pride and sort of apologize. So it's something like that. It's not like if you're apologizing you become low class or anything, but that's how it originated. Eat the humble pie, be uh, the timid or the I don't know, the person who's like not, like if you're wrong in that position, maybe you're not as superior as that person. Not philosophically, but in a like very social manner, I'm saying that. So to admit you were wrong and apologize, especially after boasting or making a mistake. So it's mostly used in that context, when you're like saying, oh, I can do this, do that, I'll prove this, I'll prove that, and then you end up not being able to prove. So it's like now you eat the humble pie because now you have to apologize and be like, okay, I was wrong, like a servant apologizing to the master, something like that. So don't take the philosophical part of it, but just the story so that you can remember it. Eat the humble pie, to apologize after, say, bragging. What does fish in troubled water means? A, to help others in difficulty. B, cook fish during a storm. Uh, cook fish during a storm. Take advantage of others' problem. Or D, could get confused. So it would mean to take advantage of others' problem. Again, if you've ever been fishing, you would know that if the water is muddy, the fish cannot see, and it's easier to catch the fish then. So it would be like that. So if somebody is in a difficult situation, that person cannot think straight, and you're taking an advantage of that person in that state. So take an advantage of other people when they are in troubled state. Okay, it means to benefit from chaotic or problematic situation of other people. So to fish in a troubled water, like a fisherman takes advantage of fish, but nobody really cares about fish. What does the idiom foot the bill means? It means to bill all the expenses. So it would mean to pay the total cost of something. So, for example, her parents footed the bill for her wedding. It would mean that foot of the bill would be like at the end of the bill. And what is at the end of the bill? The total. So footing the bill would mean, paying the total amount. Her parents paid all the money of the wedding for her. Such nice parents. Everyone should have such parents. Hmm. Choose the correct meaning of flog a dead horse. Now, flogging a horse is like when you have that stick and you flog the horse with the stick for that horse to move or listen to you, to take the direction that they want. So you might have seen that scenes from Sholay where Basanti and Dhannu are there and she's like flogging for the horse to move, like this, or this. So that would be flogging a horse, to move, for them to run around or, direct them. So if you're flogging a dead horse, that won't give you any results. So flogging a dead horse would mean like uh, wasting your time trying to revive interest in something that is no longer relevant. So like the horse is dead, there is no time flogging, nothing is going to come out of it. So to talk about an old issue, trying to revive an interest in that. Okay, flogging a horse, flogging a dead horse. Sorry, flogging a horse is a good thing. You're getting something out of it. Flogging a dead horse. What does fly off the handle mean? So it means to lose one's temper. It means suddenly somebody becomes very angry or enraged. So he flew off the handle when someone scratched his car. So like his new car, he's taking his new car and someone put a scratch on it, and this person is like he's completely lost his temper. He's very 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 angry. So fly off the handle. So it comes from a situation. Say think of an axe, and if you're like using the axe and the sharp part of it flies off, so that would be a dangerous and a very problematic situation. So it's like that, somebody losing the temper, like suddenly somebody is losing the temperature. Picture it like a flying axe. Then somebody is like in that rage all of a sudden, in that and that's a dangerous tensions, full of tension situation, something like that. Okay, fly off the handle, to lose one's temper suddenly, become suddenly very angry. What is meant by fair weather friend? So it means a selfish friend. So somebody who is only your friend when things are good, and as soon as the weather changes, or the change of weather here means change of situations, difficult bad weather mean would be, you can think of it as bad situation. So somebody who is only a fair weather friend, only when situations are good they'll be a friend, and when you're in trouble they'll just vanish. So that person is of course selfish. So a fair weather friend is a selfish friend. So somebody who's around only when things are good, but not in the difficult times. What does the idiom eat one's word means? So eat one's word would be like when you say something and you like literally eating it to take back what you said. It's similar to eat a humble pie. So eat one's word means to admit that what one said earlier was wrong. So eating and all is all just apologizing. No, of course I'm kidding. So he said she wouldn't succeed, but when she topped the exam he had to eat his words. That means like he made this boastful claim that, oh, she wouldn't succeed, but she topped the exam, so he's like now he has to take back his words. So eat one's word. So like that, so take back what you were saying. The idiom from pillar to post, it means sort of harassment due to rushing everywhere. So from pillar to post means being sent to many places often without any help. So I don't know, you might, if you're in a government college at least, or in the colleges I have been, you would have had to run from pillar to post in university for getting some paper signed or some scholarship paper. If you have, you need to go to first say the clerk to next office to next office to next office, or if you've tried opening account in a SBI, from this window to this window to this window, something like that. So that's from running from pillar to post. So, for example, she went from pillar to post to get her passport renewed. That means that she went one window, then they said directed her to the other window, then they directed her to other window. So that's like going from pillar to post. So the origin of this idiom is also from, of course, like most of the thing, I think Greek. So there was a very hard Greeks or English people. I'm confused. So there was this system of giving harsh punishment to people where they were tied to a post, like think of it as a flat pillar that would be tied around their hands, and then they were made to go from pillar to pillar to pillar, so that pillar would hit them, that would give cause them a lot of pain, and they would just move around. That's like that's almost like you moving around from window to window in SBI, like sort of a harassment because of just going here and here and here and there. So running from pillar to post, harassment, being sent or going to many places often without getting help. Like that. What does every dog has his day mean? I think pretty much every one of you would know this because we hear this so often. Our friends would be like, if yo, every dog has his day, today is your day, and I'll tell you some other day. So if you've done something that has made your friend to eat his word, to eat the humble pie, that friend will come and tell you, okay, today is your day. Today I'm eating my words. Today I'm apologizing. But because every dog has a day, you've made it happen today, my day will also come. So, like us, that song, Apna time aayega, like that. So, fortune favors everyone sometime. That's what the meaning is. That idiom means everyone gets a chance at success or recognition at least once eventually. So, don't lose hope. Every dog is day. So, like, apna time aayega. So, apna bhi din aayega. Every dog will have his day, like that. Feather one's own nest. What does feather one's own nest means? A, decorate your house. Take care of oneself first, care for birds, sleep peacefully. So it would mean to take care of oneself first. It implies using one's position or power for personal gain. So, for example, the corrupt official was accused of feathering his nest using public funds. So it's almost like, I mean, it originated with the thing when the birds, they are building a nest and they're bringing one feather, two feathers, like just putting feathers in the nest for the comfort, but eventually it came to mean that somebody who's trying to gain the comfort but using wrong means. So the corrupt official was accused of feathering his own nest using public funds. Feathering nest, like when you layer it with feathers, which are relatively softer, you're getting comfort. So, but using wrong means by exploiting your powers like that. Okay. What does fall flat mean? So something falling flat would mean it has no effect on the, say, audience or the listener. So it is mostly used in the sense of theater, or these days stand-up comedy. So you talk about a stand-up comic, like his jokes fell flat, nobody laughed. That means they had no effect. They had no humor on it. Nobody felt that they're funny. So they felt flat. They had no effect. Okay. So his jokes fell flat and nobody laughed. What does it mean? The meaning, what is the meaning of feather in one's cap means? So it means an achievement or success. So this idiom refers to something a person can be proud of, an added honor or accomplishment. So in the so the Native Americans, they had, you might have seen them, they had feathers in their cap. So every time they won in a war game or some big hunt that they achieved, so they had this system of having attaching a feather with every victory, like literally adding a feather. So this is where it originated. Every feather meant every milestone, or I mean, now it's a milestone. Those days it was a war victory or something of that level. So, an achievement or a success. Feather in one's cap. Go to dogs. What does it mean? To be ruined or to deteriorate. So, go to dogs is used to describe a situation where something is being ruined or has worse, especially because of neglect or mismanagement. So, I mean, I don't know. When was these times? The dogs are considered to be very lowly beings, and their situation is considered to be very lowly. Like the dog in the manga, the dog doesn't have a kernel, doesn't have a proper house, where, like, not a proper house, but a kernel at least, or a dog tub, whatever that is, or dog's day. Every dog has his day, means that a lowly creature like a dog will also get one day at least, or small time, oh, that is favorable to them. Go to dogs again, like in a very such a bad situation. So I mean, these idioms, they're not very dog friendly, so to say. So it would, like, for example, ever since the new manager took over, the company has gone to dog. That means the company is in a total mess since the new manager took over. So to be go to the dogs would means to be in, like, to going to getting to the worst situation. Okay. No wonder these idioms are not used so frequently nowadays. Dogs would be offended. Get oneself into a mess. Oh, please. I have heard this so many times, at least once every month. So, to drift into trouble or a difficult situation, to get oneself into mess. Mess is like a difficult situation. It's not the mess where one goes and eat in, you like your hostel mess or your school, not the school, but the hostel mess. Hostels have mess. That also is very messy, but that's not the mess that is being talked here. To mess is a troubled situation. So to drift into trouble or a difficult situation, to get oneself into a mess means becoming involved in a problematic or complicated situation, often due to one's own actions. So I mean, at this age, you do get yourself in a mess, and then you get yourself out, and that's life. So get oneself into mess. Don't get yourself into mess. Give a wide berth. What does it mean? To avoid someone or something deliberately. So to give a wide berth is a nautical term that meaning to maintain a safe distance. In every language, it means deliberately avoiding someone or something. So, like you're keeping a distance by stay at a safe distance. So like you're trying to avoid them so that they don't come too close to you, you're keeping that distance. So sort of trying to avoid, to give a wide berth, to avoid somebody, because every time you're just trying to add distance between you and that person by avoiding that person, something like that. Okay. Hold water. What does hold water means? To support an argument. So hold water refers to a statement or argument that is logical, tenable, and can withstand scrutiny. So to hold water would means to support an argument. Have an axe to grind. Being selfishly motivated. When someone has an axe to grind, they have personal or selfish reason behind what they are doing. So if, like, you say somebody is having somebody's being sued, and you're just called to give a testimony against them. So you're coming not because you have some real evidence to prove, but you're just coming to give that testimony because you have had bad experience with this person and you have an axe to grind. You are like, you have this selfish motive behind giving this testimony. So you have an axe to grind. Okay. When someone has an axe to grind, they have personal or selfish reason behind what they're doing. So that testimony is not as a result uh, of your motivation for truth, but your past bad experience, and now you want to take a revenge, and so you have an axe to grind. Hit the nail on the head. So what does it means? To say or do something that is exactly right. So if you want that, so purpose of the nail is to go inside the hole and fix something. So if you're hitting it on the head, that means you're doing the right thing. So the nail is getting inside the hole and it is fixing the thing it is supposed to do. So to do exactly the right thing, to whatever that like the thing is, to hit the nail on the head, to do the exact or the right thing that is required in the moment. It describes exactly what is causing a situation or a problem to be accurate or effective. So even if we are talking and you are able to point out what exact problem is, or say what exact issue is, that would be hitting the nail on the head. To be like, to hit it at the exact right place. If you're doing that, the nail will go inside and it will, fix the thing. Something like that. To say something that is exactly right. To do exact, or to point out the exact thing in a situation. Hobson's choice. What does Hobson's choice means? So it's a situation with no real choice. A Hobson's choice means you have no alternative and you must accept what is given or nothing at all. So say your parents tell you, okay, we will say your mom tells you that, okay, I'll cook tonight by whatever you want to eat, and she says you eat tinder or you eat loki. So it's not really giving you a choice. Like both are not tasty. So it's like a Hobson's choice. Like it's not like you're getting what you want to eat. So it's not a choice. It's like that. A situation with no real choice. While you are giving two options, it's no real choice. Had it been a pizza and a Loki, then you could have chosen. But this is like a Tinder and a Loki is no real choice. So it's like that. No real choice, but no real alternatives. Like they say, choosing a kuwa and a khai, like that. Like both are problematic situations. So no real choices. Like both the choices are not uh, good enough. Hold at bay. So what does hold at bay means? To restrain or keep the enemy away. So hold at bay implies preventing something or someone, especially danger or enemy, from coming too close or gaining ground. So you hold them at a bay. That. In the red, facing financial losses. So in the red refers to financial loss or deficit, especially in the business or accounting context. So red always implies danger. So something is wrong. In the red, if you're in the red, there is some problem. So it's mostly in the financial case. So facing a financial loss. If you're in the red, you have burnt a hole in your pocket and now you're in the red. You're facing financial losses. In the limelight. Oh, this is again fairly simple. To be in the prominent position. Celebrities in the limelight, they're always in the limelight, means to be in the center of public attention. To be in the limelight. In the lurch, to abandon someone in difficulty. So, a fair weather friend would leave you in the lurch. To leave someone in lurch means to leave them alone in a difficult or dangerous situation. So, in the lurch. Ivory tower. So ivory tower is like living in an imaginary or unrealistic world. So ivory tower, you can think of it as a very high tower which has all the comforts. So somebody who's living in an ivory tower wouldn't be aware of realities of the people who are living on the ground, and they have to face the real issues. So it is you might see this phrase coming in newspapers for policymakers, that these policymakers, they live in their ivory tower and they do not know what is going on the ground, and this policy while they're say, criticizing a policy. So this policy is made by a policymaker who lives in ivory tower, so that person is not aware of the real world situations. So that's ivory tower. Ivory tower denotes detachment from the real world, especially due to academic or idealistic views. So often it is used for policymakers or say intellectual class, that they live in their own bookish ideal world. They are not in touch with the reality of the everyday life of people, and then they make grand theories or big policies like that, and which is not good. So that's how the criticism is done. So ivory tower, an imaginary and unrealistic world. in a tight corner. So what does in a tight corner means? Being in a tricky or a difficult situation. So phrase refers to being trapped in a challenging situation. So if you're in a tight corner, that means it's like you're not comfortable. So you're trapped in a difficult situation. So in a tight corner, being in a difficult or a tricky situation. Keep body and soul together. So it would mean to manage to survive. So keeping body and soul together means managing to live despite hardships, often referring to bare survival. So it's almost like the hardships are so much that your body and your life is getting, like your life is getting out of your body. It's so difficult, but you're somehow managing your body and your soul, like you're just trying to keep it together. So just managing to survive in a difficult situation, keeping body and soul together. Okay. Kick the bucket. What does the expression kick the bucket means? It means dying. Kick the bucket is an informal idiom used to refer to someone's death. Kick the bucket. Keep up appearances. What does it mean? To maintain or an illusion of well-being. So these days, people on Instagram, they are trying to keep up the appearances with their super happy posts and all. So it means pretending that everything is fine, especially to avoid social embarrassment. So you're trying to keep up the appearances. For example, say a woman who's facing domestic violence, but she's putting up the makeup literally to hide those marks that she's faced. So she's trying to keep up appearance literally. So that's keeping up appearance to maintain an illusion, especially used in social cases. You're trying to keep up appearances from the society. Keep at arm's length to avoid association with someone. Again, like uh, you're like trying to maintain a distance with them. It means to maintain a deliberate distance from someone, often due to distrust or dislike. So you have, for example, you keep the negative people at arm's length, like at a distance only. You don't let them very close. So they, because if you let them very close, they'll impact your life, and it won't be a good thing. So you don't keep selfish or negative people too close. You keep them at arm's length in cold blood, so without any sympathy or emotion. Again, phrase is used in the newspapers very often for some encounter. Say somebody is criticizing some encounter, they would be like, the police people, they killed the criminals in cold blood, or say some sort of sensational murder case happened, that say the boyfriend killed the girlfriend in cold blood. That is like in a very cruel manner, and not with, like, without any emotion. So it refers to doing something, especially a crime, with cruelty without emotion or any guilt or remorse. Leave no stone unturned. It means like to use all possible means. Like you've tried everything. For example, for your preparation, you cannot leave any stone unturned. You cannot leave any stone unturned. Yes. So the idiom makes it's like making every possible effort to achieve something. You have to leave no stone unturned for your to achieve your goal. Okay. Okay, at this point, I'd like to pause, and we will take up rest of the idioms in the next class so it doesn't get too burdensome and boring for you. I hope I have I've tried to include stories and some anecdotes with all these phrases so that you can relate, you can think of a phrase because you can remember the stories better than just the hard fact. I mean, that's how my mind works. So I hope you try to remember these things. Just I mean, like right at this point, just quickly go through everything at this point, and you'll remember it before we start the next class. So thank you so much for your attention. I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.